For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast. Robbie Frame, fitness influencer and Tigers tragic, joins us on the ET Stand for an opposition fan preview right now. Welcome to the ET Stand, the Sharks fan podcast that lets us talking to the football. Robbie Frame, welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you so much. It's actually a pleasure to be here. We've got a big game this weekend. Very exciting. Sunday, 4 p.m. And it's at Leichhardt. So there is.
Pumped up?
Yeah. Whenever it's a 4 p.m. Leichhardt game, I just think the Tigers end up going to just that extra level. I'm not sure what it is about that ground, whether it's hard to get to for the opposition, whether it's in its dilapidated state, just a place that opposition teams don't want to go to. I'm not sure, but there's just something about 4 p.m. afternoon football in Sydney at Leichhardt. Doesn't get any better.
What's the trick for going to Leichhardt? If you're just what's the trick?
I just think you'd have to. I mean, you're catching 1,000,001 buses, no matter where you are coming from.
Parking's a nightmare.
And then you can get your step count up because it's a bit of a trek from the main road to funnel your way through all the streets. Honestly, to get there is hard. I've been there before for a complete and utter sellout many moons ago with my dad. And guys were jumping the fence and able to get through all the barbed wire. It's a fascinating fortress to play at.
It's a bit of fun. So we went over that on the Tuesday night show. Matty Williams, who's our host on the ET Stand, talked through. The Sharks don't have a great record at Leichhardt, having only won 4 times against the West Tigers. And in the early iteration of the West Tigers, you guys pumped us for a very long time. I don't need to be reminded of Benji Marshall at Shark Park and that match and that stupid flick pass and the damn goose steps. So we're just going to ignore. I just talk about it, Robbie. Just go.
Can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. I think it was round 21, 2005.
You don't think it was that? You know clearly that it was that.
Look, honestly, there are only very limited number of shining moments in our history since merging. Many moons ago, it honestly, that is a shining light on what has otherwise been a heavily blemished existence as the West Tigers.
Well, it was a good 2005 season. Oh, well, let's talk about this season because I've been talking up the Tigers for a few different reasons. One is Jerome Luai, I think, is a big addition, and we're going to chat on him in a minute. But the Eels match, I'd watched that one pretty closely. I thought that was closer than it looked. I thought you were a bit unlucky. What went wrong in that one, mate?
I'd say Moses at the start of the week and Moses at the end of the week. One of which is Isaac Moses at the beginning of the week as a player manager for our 19-year-old superstar 5'8". And then at the end of the week, I think credit needs to be given to Parramatta's halfback. I think Mitchell Moses, I had anticipated that perhaps he would be a little bit rusty, but he just reaffirmed why he is such a linchpin for that Parramatta side. His kicking game, the confidence with which the entire team seemed to play with him, brought back into the side, just allowed Dylan Brown to play his natural running game at 5'8". And then to compound issues, you come out at halftime and you concede all those tries. It's very frustrating, particularly after the week that we had just had. I thought that perhaps the team was able to show up on Easter Monday and really go to that next level. But relative to previous years, I mean, in many respects, I can't complain. We are actually in the contest on a more.
Yeah, only one win outside the 8.
Yeah, and I think that's...
I thought you were unlucky. So you say Moses was just was a cut above the rest, and so one of the boys we revisited our top 8 predictions, and he said, "No, the Eels are going to come good," and we
we all taunted him. Do you think the Eels can come good then off the back of that?
I was surprised at just the profound impact and influence that he has on that side when he strolls back in after injury, because the opening number of rounds with Parramatta, I was just, put your money down for the wooden spoon. I just did not anticipate that he would come back into the side with such an impact.
You can't win without your halfback, can you? You just can't. You got him.
Exactly.
So maybe that's cutting them some slack. All right. So you mentioned superstar 5'8". Galvin is not a superstar. He's just a pretty good young player, isn't he?
In that camp at the moment, I think that's the that's the rhetoric being pushed out, perhaps, just in terms of a prodigious talent that wants to move elsewhere, which is incredibly frustrating. He doesn't feel as though he can reach his full potential under Benji's tutelage. So, just an incredibly
pill to
frustrating
swallow, though, isn't it? Because surely playing alongside Jerome Luai is also the development that you would want. Happy Coruscant. What better? It's a pretty good combination of guys you get to play with, isn't it?
I think so. I think when you've got people like Jerome and Abby who have played together, and we know how important it is to have a fully functioning attacking spine. I just think wouldn't it be of benefit, particularly if you do have Jerome there, who's won 4 premierships? There's so much that you can learn of him as a player.
Jerome Luai has the high. I say this all the time in our pod. Jerome Luai has the highest winning percentage of all NRL players currently. So, and he's higher than Cameron Smith as well. He's a terrific NRL player. It's not surprising that he's instantly made your team better. But just touching on Galvin again, I remember watching him play, and I didn't think he was that quick. Are you sure he's good?
I think that he is a very exciting talent. There's no question. I think that sort of amplifies the reaction that's coming out of the entire West Tigers, support base. I think there's just a growing discontent. In fact, it's just frustration and resentment that, in many respects, we are treated like the doormat of the NRL. So, a lot of really young, exciting talent will come through our juniors, and for whatever reason, whether it's internal struggles over many years and infighting, or just perceivably more lucrative offers on the outside, it just doesn't seem as though we can hold on to this talent and then build a side so that we have them in their prime, have these players in their prime. When you lose players in the past like the Tedescos, Aaron Woods when he was in his prime, and you lose Mitchell Moses as well, there's just a lot of frustration. Why can't we hold on to these players? Well, and Brooksy was last man standing. So I think there's a lot of frustration.
He's not lit the world up on fire, though, since he's gone to Manly. He's been competent, but he's hardly been.
Yeah, but I think he is in a more comfortable role there, and he demonstrated when he was playing for the Tigers that if he has a half partner that takes a little bit of the weight off his shoulders, he can play a more natural and actually a great running game. But to lump it all onto his shoulders was just too much to bear, I think. So it's just there's a lot of frustration that we have these young players and we can't hold on to them, and then on the other end of the spectrum, we tend to get players in their twilight years. We want people in their prime.
Jack Bird.
Yeah, I see. Great. I don't mind Jack Bird coming in the team. Just fantastic to have that addition. I think
he's a premiership winning player, so he can't be that bad, can he?
Exactly. I think we have the makings of a good side, and I think that's where a lot of that anger and vitriol is coming from.
Let's pull up the Tigers team here.
Let's
pull up the Tigers team. Look, for the benefit of those on audio only, the Tigers team take on the Sharks. Jareem Buller and Robbie, maybe you can correct me on any of these pronunciations. So is it Sunia or Taruva?
Yeah, I think, mate, I'll go with your pronunciation on some of these.
Taruva is pretty good. I tell you who we do like. He's a well-respected player in the NRL. Is Adam Dewey at number 3 in the centres. He's just Tigers through and through, isn't he?
And 100 games last week, 3 ACL reconstructions. There's a lot of resilience required to come back from those injuries, and to still be playing first grade is really impressive.
All right, so his centre partner is Stafford Toa and Brent Naden on the other wing. I don't know anything about either of those two guys. Can you give us
Naden
any?
was at the Bulldogs for a number of years, and
Yeah, he was too.
He was playing centre last week, and he actually took a really good high ball in defence, which gives me confidence when he's put out on the wing. It is an exciting backline when it's fully functioning, and then we get to Lockie, who's just been reinstated in the side. So
Yeah, what do you make of that? Is that what you have done? How would you have handled that?
I don't know how you handle a scenario like that. I'm not quite sure. You've got a team that was functioning really well, at the start of the season. I know a 3-3 record at the time isn't that impressive for sides or teams that are accustomed to success.
Sharks are 3-3.
For us, it was like, that's awesome. And then, I think dropping him last week, the amount of vitriol he would have copped from the crowd on the Monday, I do agree with Benji that it was probably in his best interest not to play in that game. But we just don't know what the inner workings are like at the moment, what the team dynamic is like. And I think that's going to be the most interesting thing moving forward, whether all this off-field drama starts impacting and influencing how these guys play.
Whether they want to play with Leichhardt-Oval or not, or whether he can have the conviction to lead them around. But look, they're all professional footballers and they all want to win. So I would think maybe, look, when Leichhardt-Galvin sets up a try against whoever you're playing next week, because he won't do anything this week, I'm sure the Tigers players will all be saluting. All right, so you got Jerome Luai, the captain, at halfback. Then in the front row, Terrell May and Vonoa Pole, with Api Coruscant as the co-captain. I like the looks of Api Coruscant. He's a quality player. Interesting that you guys run with Talon Silva on the bench, a replacement hooker, actually. So we'll touch on that in a minute. And then Samuel Afanu, Alex Seyfarth, and Alex Twal. He's pretty funny, Alex Twal. He's funny in that. Man. Geez, he's got a rig on him. He's not as well built as you, Robbie, but he's pretty good.
No, he has been a workhorse for the team for so many years, and I think he's a cult hero and universally loved within the NRL community, purely off the back of that ridiculous drought that just went on and on. But when he scored that first try, wow.
That's right. He was the guy who never scored, wasn't he? That's right. He was the guy who never scored. So tell us about Talon Silva. What can you tell us about him?
Well, I just think the rotation when it comes to Appy, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out on Sunday. I think the one thing that I will say that I observed towards the back end of the game against Parramatta was, when Appy went off, there was this opportunity for him to get a breather. And then when he was able to be recycled back on, he was able to milk a penalty with, increasing the ruck speed and getting a lot of the tied forwards at marker offside. And it can just, penalties like that, when you're coming out of your own half, when you've got a fresh Appy, coming on board, it really can turn the tide. So I think it's more tactical than anything else to probably give our starting 9 an opportunity to actually have a bit of a rest, because he really puts in the minutes for us.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because the Sharkies have got Daniel Atkinson on the bench and Blake Brayley pays the full 80 minutes. And I noticed that Brayley gets a little tired. So I thought that was interesting. And then number 15, you've got big, bad Royce Hunt. Now, how's big Royce going? We love Royce Hunt at the Sharks.
Yeah, he's going well. I think having that impact when you've just got physical players coming on board and getting those extra meters for you, it's just, I think half our issue in the past has been getting good forward momentum. Having him coming off the bench will certainly make an impact, I think.
All right, Jack Bird we mentioned, and then Sione Fanu, he's a middle forward, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. All right, look, it's how do you normally score the tries for the Tigers? How are they normally scoring?
Well, if Jerome Buller is on board and firing on all cylinders, look, heading out wide, if you can get it to Taruva and Bulla, off the back of just phenomenal ruck speed work by Appy, giving off to Jerome and Lockie, good things can happen. I think one thing that I did notice last week against Parramatta is we had a scenario where I think Adam Dewey tried to give just a long cutout ball out wide, and I think just the combination wasn't there due to a lack of familiarity. And I think if we can just go back to this more familiar halves combination, provided all the off-field drama doesn't cause unrest on the field of play, good things happen when the ball gets sent out wide. And in the past few seasons, it's been one of those cases where opportunities are created out wide and a lot of the last passes aren't sticking. But this season, it feels as though a lot of those passes are starting to stick a little bit more.
All right. Well, we'll see how we go on the weekend, won't we? Let's just switching across to the Sharks team. Of the Sharks lineup, Robbie, as you look at the Sharks team to take on the Tigers, who stands out? Who scares you? And who do you wish just wasn't playing?
Well, Fanua Blake is quite an intimidating prospect. Always has been, always will be. I think the thing with the Sharks also, it's like, from an outsider's perspective, under Fitzgibbon over the last number of seasons, you guys have always seemed to account for middle of the table / lower end teams. Like it has felt as though that's been a consistent trend of accounting for that when you probably feel most comfortable playing, your natural attacking pattern without, any disruptions. So when Nico Hines is on, it can be terrifying when he's on. And then you've got workhorses like Cameron McInnes. Like there's someone that you would want to run through a brick wall for if he's not already run through the brick wall himself. So, I mean, he's an intimidating prospect. And then when you've got Mulatalo out wide, I just think he's such a dangerous attacking threat. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think a couple of seasons ago, he was set to make his Queensland Origin debut, and then there was a scandal
He's not
around
eligible.
his eligibility. And as a staunch New South Wales supporter, there's a sigh of relief that comes with that because he is a dangerous attacking weapon out wide. So
he doesn't seem to be. He's not getting as many tries this year, Ronaldo Mulatalo, since he's not had.
He's always a threat.
Since he's not had Sifa Talakai in the centres for him, he's not been scoring quite as many tries. But young Sam Stone Street Jags a lot of tries. All right, swinging back to the Tigers, mate. Are you going to make the top 8 this season?
I hope so. I mean, this is coming from a supporter of a side that hasn't made the finals since, I think, 2011.
Which must be the longest drought of all the teams.
The current drought, I would assume. Yeah, I would have to go back through history and look through when clubs were founded and how long it took them to actually get a crack. But far out. I sincerely hope so. When it comes to the NRL season, it's a war of attrition, so injuries play a factor. I think there've been some promising signs early on, but what's happened over the past week has proven to be a bit of a speed bump. I really do feel for Benji. He is probably a coach in his second season. He's trying to find his feet. He's had a reasonably good start to the season relative to our past seasons, and then for it to be derailed publicly in the way that it has, I just hope that they're able to get back on track. Hopefully, they're able to do that this Sunday.
He's a popular figure out there in NRL world, Benji Marshall. Look, I've got the Tigers making the 8 in our episode just this last week. I said that they would make it, so I'm confident for you. I think you can jag it. Don't underestimate how good Jerome Luai is.
We need. That's what we need. We need that.
All right, give us a tip. Who's going to win and how many by will the Sharks win, Robbie?
I think Tigers by 6.
Tigers by 6, fair enough. All right, well, I'm tipping a Sharks 13+, as I said on the show this week, but never discount the Tigers. They can be tricky at Leichhardt, so we'll see how we go. Mate, wider, just general Cronulla Sharks stuff. When we talk about the Cronulla Sharks and the West Tigers, and I say to you, players that have played for both teams, who comes to mind as champion Sharks, Tigers, or Tiger Sharks? Who comes to mind?
Well, the first name that comes to mind is Chris Hyington, who I think would be warmly welcomed by both fan bases
Fans.
whenever he returns. Just trying to think. Bo Ryan.
Is Bo Ryan popular with the Tigers fans still? Is he still well regarded?
I think so. I think I think I think so. But I think Chris Hyington, because of the longevity with which he played his career with us, I think winning a premiership probably helps in that regard. Our lone premiership. I think Keith Galloway played for you guys. Keith
Galloway did play for us,
and
of course Andrew Fifita.
Andrew Fifita, yes, another player who made his debut for us and then went on to greener pastures.
Did John Morris play for you guys?
I know he's coaching with us.
He's coaching with you now.
Oh, he was no. I'd have to double check that.
He played for so many teams.
The other players that I was going to I have to double check.
Get in the comments. Someone go look that up for us. Let us know in the comments. Did John Morris play for the Tigers or not? I think he might have actually. Well, let's just go.
Google search. It'll be early 2010s, isn't it?
Yeah, here we go. John Morris is playing career Newcastle. Yeah, West Tigers, 2007 to 2009. I was right. Should have backed myself. Played a couple of seasons.
Yeah, and we were actually somewhat competitive then.
Leichhardt is another one.
Yes, and I was actually going to go back in time. I was going to go back in time. Like, as much as I am a West Tigers fan, my affinity for the club was born out of my fandom for the Western Suburbs Magpies, which my father was a staunch supporter of before the merger. And I think your two-time Dally M medalist, Gavin Miller,
he played
way back, and he started off at Western Suburbs.
He started at the Magpies.
So there's that, and in fact, there's a couple of guys like throughout history where you look at them and they're remembered for the playing career that they had at a particular club, and then you go back through the list and it goes started at Western Suburbs. So like
Cliff Lyons was a Sharks player, Robbie.
Oh, was he?
Yep. Cliff Lyons, Sharks player. Robbie Kearns, Sharks player.
Think about the longevity of Cliff Lyons' career. He could have actually probably played. He probably is still playing.
He might still be playing there. He was very good. All right. Well, other than that, I don't think there's too many other Tiger Sharks that really come to mind. But there's for a couple of years we had a lot of yours. I think for mine, obviously, Andrew Fifita would have to be the favourite, despite the fact that he refuses me interviews on the ET stand because we used to give him a whole bunch of shtick on the sideline, and then he's like, because it's quite funny. So at the Hall of Fame, and so we lined up, we interviewing the players, and so Andrew, would you come over for an interview on the ET stand? He's like, yeah, sure. And then he sees it to me. He's like, oh, I'm not interviewing with that guy. I was like, no way. So I was like, I'm finally getting him back.
It's nice to know that they're hearing both the ET stand and also hearing you on the sidelines. They do listen.
They definitely do listen. Well, Andrew Fifita definitely listens. All right, mate. Well, thanks for coming on. We will we'll get you on another time. Good luck for the rest of the season. I'm sure I'll cop a text message from you during the match. But in the meantime.
Well, that's if we're doing well. That's if we're doing well on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens. So, but yeah, Robbie, thanks for coming on. And look, if anyone's out there, Robbie is what is it? Frame Fitness is the name of the business?
Robbie Frame Fitness.
Robbie Frame Fitness. So Robbie is one of the fittest people, possibly the fittest person I've ever met, and runs a very inspirational fitness program. So if anyone's out there and wants to get coaching from the great Robbie Frame, you can certainly do that. And I probably have needed that myself, but that's a story for another time. All right, legend. Well, mate, it was good to see you. I hope you enjoy the game on Sunday, and we'll see all the Sharks fans for a post-match debrief following half an hour after full time in the middle of the Matty John show after all the player interviews have happened. So that was Robbie Frame. I will put his link to his fitness business in the bio, and we'll see you guys soon. Up Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.